Hey guys, happy Monday! Those words sound weird together, right? So today I'm going to be talking about Eddie the Eagle. This one stars Taron Egerton and Hugh Jackman. With the Kingsman star and Wolverine, this wasn't exactly the movie that I was expecting when these two were cast in a film together, but I have to admit it's a very interesting story, it's very compelling, and I like this movie a lot. Now this one is based on true events about Michael Eddie Edwards and his goal to make it to the Olympics despite everyone telling him he won't be able to make it. He overcomes and he does the impossible and makes it to the Olympics. So like I said, Eddie the Eagle is based on true events. Obviously there had to be some slight changes to Eddie's actual story in order to make it into a compelling film. I dislike a lot when people complain about movies that are based on true events having to change things. It's not as a compelling story sometimes if all the details are perfect. It's not a reenactment, it is based on true events. But let's get on with the review. In this movie, at the beginning, Eddie has a difficult time choosing what sport he wants to participate in when he's going for his Olympic dream. Eventually, he decides to choose, instead of summer, to choose Winter Olympics, and then eventually, ultimately decides on ski jumping, which is where our main story takes place. He eventually meets Hugh Jackman's character, who used to be a big ski jumper, kind of now down on his luck, and he had a big falling out with his coach, all that stuff. But he eventually gets convinced by Eddie to help him out in his ultimate dream. And it's just basically a very good story it's a very underdog story. It's meant to bring out this side of you to root for the underdog, and it definitely worked for me. This is the classic definition of a feel-good story. Eddie has this very big underdog moment, well, actually several underdog moments where he has to overcome people telling him that he can't do something. He gets it from his father ever since he was a little kid. He gets it from various people throughout the Olympic sports. He gets it basically from childhood till the point where he actually makes it to the Olympics, and he proves everyone wrong, which was a really good story to tell. For some reason, I really like these types of stories. Of course, they can be kind of annoying at times if you get a lot of them at the same time. This came out at the same time as Jesse Owens' movie did, Race, I believe that was called. But this one is a lot more interesting to me because this was a kid who just had the determination to make it to the Olympics. It wasn't like he was gifted with a specific thing like Jesse Owens was with racing. He just wanted this thing so bad, and he was willing to chase it no matter what it took. And it's just so, I don't know how to explain it. It's very inspirational. It's a very inspirational story that makes you want to go out and do something that you've always wanted to do, and it works really, really well. A fun little thing about this movie is that it takes place during the 1988 Calgary Olympics in Canada. This was the same exact Olympics that the Jamaican bobsled team competed in for the very first time. The one that was inspired the movie Cool Runnings. And there's a fun little Easter egg in this movie that references that, and it was actually a really cool thing of this movie to do, and I really appreciated that. But this story is mainly about Eddie, and it was very compelling, and it was very driven, much like Cool Runnings was, but this one was a little bit more personal for some reason, probably because it was only one guy versus a group of guys. But it was much more compelling for me. I was very into it. I saw a lot of reviews about this movie, and it seemed like people weren't very happy with Taron Egerton's portrayal of the real Eddie. But I believed in this character. I felt for this character. I wanted him to win very, very badly. Even his most minor of accomplishments in this film, which you see throughout a couple times, I really felt like I was rooting for him. And I really liked that about this movie. The Jamaican bobsled team had their own little thing. It was a fun comedy thing. But this one felt like it was more determined. Like you felt this kid's determination, and you were behind him the entire way. And it was just a really good time to watch him go through this and make even the most minor of accomplishments. Now, my biggest complaint about this movie has to do with probably Hugh Jackman's character. Not necessarily Hugh Jackman himself, but the fact that it followed a very similar structure, and as well as Hugh Jackman's character, as real steel. It felt like I was almost watching the same story again, but more of a realistic story versus fighting robots. Hugh Jackman is basically this character who fell sort of from grace. He got into a bit of a thing with his coach, kind of like in Real Steel, where he was this big boxer and then he sort of fell off from that. This one, he used to be a big time ski jumper, and then he fell off from that. And then he meets a kid, and then he sort of redeems himself by helping him out, becomes their coach, really helps him out, and achieving their ultimate goal. It felt very familiar, but other than that, that was my biggest complaint of the entire movie. I actually really like this movie a lot. Taron Egerton, like I said, did an amazing job as Eddie, even though some people disagree with that. Hugh Jackman's character was very inspirational, very much like Real Steel. Christopher Walken was in this movie, which I think he kind of phoned in his performance, like it was just a tiny bit. He was just there to sort of be Hugh Jackman's former coach and sort of be mean to him, but then once Eddie did good, then he sort of believed in him for his coaching. He really phoned in this performance. It wasn't really necessary, but it was still overall a very good story. Guys, overall I have to give Eddie the Eagle a B+. I love this film. It was actually very inspirational. It had me hooked on Eddie. It had me rooting for him the entire time. This underdog story. It was very, very good story to tell. And I don't know if it's necessarily the right time, especially with Taron Egerton's career sort of taking off. Hugh Jackman sort of not necessarily declining, but getting ready to take Wolverine to the next step and then sort of step down from it. It wasn't exactly the best film that I think combined these two people, but it worked. It actually made sense. It was a great film and a great time to watch. Also, the 80s atmosphere, the music, the montages were great, and I just overall enjoyed this film. It actually surprised me, and I really liked this film a lot. Let me know what you guys think about Eddie the Eagle or any other feel-good movies that you like a lot down in the comments below. And like always, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.